Добрый день. Значит, начинаем пресс-конференцию. Тема пресс-конференции.
Welcome. We begin today's press conference. We are talking about the organization of evacuation of temporarily displaced persons from the combat zone, interaction of the state with the NGOs and international bodies. I will be the moderator. My name is Konstantin Vorobyov, and I'm the advisor to the chairman of the Ukrainian Union of Industrialists and Entrepreneurs. Before I give the floor to the MPs, member of the Ukrainian Parliament, Victoria Hryb. But before I was working as the deputy mayor of city of Pokrovsk, the matter on the investigation today is something that is very close to my heart. When we talk about today's issue, I would like to appeal to the citizens of the living in the Donetsk region. My appeal to them is to get evacuated from that area. I would like to give the floor to the MP, Victoria Hryb. Today's topic is not perhaps a subject matter that we would like to talk about. When we talk about the evacuation matters, we understand that people are forced to flee from their homes. They are made to go to the places where they perhaps don't know where to. I am grateful to Mr. Kyrylenko, the governor of the Donetsk region, as well as to the governor of the Lugansk region for their message that they are trying to get across. It is necessary to evacuate the place. This is a step to make the challenge of the Ukrainian armed forces to make clear, to make easier for them to fight. But one thing is to board the train and to leave. We know how difficult it is to get people evacuated when we know the example of the city of Kramatorsk. We saw how the civilians were executed literally, but perhaps this is an instance that shall not be duplicated. From the very beginning of the new phase of the aggression in the Donbass, and I am the member of parliament who was running in that area, and I was appealing to people, flee the place. We were cooperating with the governor of the oblast, and we were talking to the local authorities for the need for people to go away while it was not too late. People believed that this disaster will avoid them. It did not happen. People were burned alive in their houses. We still can't tell the numbers of how many people were just buried alive, but this is what happened. That is why today everything is clear. Of course, we are aware it doesn't feel good to flee a place. You don't want to leave behind your relatives, your pets. But if there is an opportunity, the highest priority is to save your children, to save your parents. Older people are in need of our care. I am grateful in the first place to the Vice Prime Minister, Iryna Vereshchuk, when she heard about this campaign that was organized by the uh, Chamber of Commerce of Ukraine and the League of the Industrialists of Ukraine. She responded without further ado, with no more empty words. She assigned people to get down to work. Now, when we are looking at the way how the local authorities are functioning, I would give them an A. They are very effective. This is a time to bow to our Vice Prime Minister and thank her. If all the members of the government were acting the way she is doing, Ukraine would be suffering from less problems. I would like also to thank Mr. Krasnikov, Vorobyov, and others to get implemented this. drive to evacuate people to Sweden. The Swedish Chamber of Commerce responded, we have sent 130 children abroad. I would also like to thank peoples in Europe and Ukrainian government. But governments are something that they are only giving the green light to. But what we need is ordinary people opening their houses to the Ukrainian refugees. This program that is under discussion today is absolutely safe. The idea behind it is to save parents and their children. Of course, we understand that men cannot leave the country, but if we have families with many children, the father or the men are allowed to go. I appeal to you to think about the safety of your children. Tomorrow may be too late. Look at the situation in Mariupol, in Volnovakha, and other places. I would think that those people who died would have given everything, but they did not enjoy such a possibility. They were staying in their cities until the last moment, and it was too late for them to leave. Once again and again, thank you for everybody who is participating in this campaign. And I appeal to everyone, don't waste your time. Make up your minds, and we will facilitate your decision. We will tell you where to go and what to do. Such programs have not only been executed by Sweden or Germany, there are other programs directed to the Ukrainians in the United Kingdom, in the United States, in Canada, and we stand ready to get engaged and help you. The only thing that is up to you is to make up your mind. Thank you. On the 11th of April, the Vice Prime Minister Iryna Vereshchuk signed a task to set up a green corridor and evacuate refugees from the combat zone for them to go to Sweden. The initiative was set up by the Ukrainian Union of Industrialists and Entrepreneurs and the Swedish Chamber of Commerce. I would like to give the floor to Mr. Krasnikov, who is the Deputy Director of the Chamber of Commerce of Ukraine. Thank you for this invitation. Thank you for the joint work we are committing together. The interaction that the Ukrainian Union of Industrialist Entrepreneurs with the foreign associations of different businesses, the one that we set up before the war, a work on the groundwork of the mutually beneficial benefits in investments and export activities. In these trifle, trying times have been transferred to the humanitarian projects. And this is where I should mention the Swedish Chamber of Commerce. My special thanks go to Liudmyla Lemrini, who is the president of the Swedish-Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce in Nordic countries. Before the war, we were devising plans in terms of green ecology, acquiring new technologies that would facilitate our lives in the peaceful time. The work she is doing and the work of her party is now serving the promotion of safety of our Ukrainian families. What is needed now is for businesses to look into how they can save not only their businesses, not only in terms of recovering their work, but also how they contribute to the projects of saving children's lives and lives of their families. The evacuation that we are setting up has been implemented not only because of our efforts. I know a lot of businesses who are working in their local in their localities. They are helping with the evacuation of the refugees, providing for the needs of these people, are trying to organize accommodation for them because they are beginning their lives, as it were, from scratch. Things that they are taking along is only a grab bag, and they don't have much. We have launched also interaction with the foreign um, enterprises for them to provide foods and different things of necessity. We have also been working with the Canadian Association of Exporters and a number of European associations to make sure that we evacuate most vulnerable layers of population as soon as we can. And secondly, to provide for the humanitarian packages for people to survive at least at the initial stages of their evacuations, for them to enjoy some kind of alleviated um, circumstances. I would like to turn to you and to appeal to all the businesses, whether you are members of the Ukrainian Union of Industrialists or not. The situation springs up when you evacuate one group of people. We are trying to cooperate with different businesses in different localities. I think through the intermediary activities of Konstantin Vorobyov, we can set up such chains. For example, to get people evacuated from Sweden, from Donbass to Sweden, you need cooperation from the eastern part of Ukraine, from the western part of Ukraine, and Swedish colleagues. Yulia Morozova is now in Gdansk in Poland. She's been very helpful in terms of getting on board the Polish unions and get Ukrainian families accommodated, providing them with the transportation. People were going on the railway to Poland, and then they were um, given opportunity to board the ferries. So, Mr. Vorobyov, your foundation, your kindness, headed by Ivan Stepurin, these and other NGOs and body government organizations will come in with the help. We are now turning to the head of the Ukrainian Chamber of Commerce in Sweden, and she represents our country in Nordic countries. Welcome. I would like to thank everybody for this well-coordinated work since the very beginning of this evacuation process until they arrived in Sweden. In all the links and chains, the work has been well organized. Mothers and children were given everything they needed en route to Sweden. A lot of businesses were helping them to get across the border and to provide them with the transportation. Currently, I would like to say that everybody who is accommodated here in Sweden, practically all of the mothers and their children have been accommodated with the ordinary Swedish families, and we are thankful to them. They're ready to hold them for 2, 3, or 6 months. Many families have been provided with everything they need. Volunteers are helping. They're helping with the humanitarian aid, with the hygiene products, the children's food, kids' food, and everything they need. Of course, there are issues with the registration with the registration services, social benefit payment, and so on. But these issues are resolved on the basis as we go. We did not get prepared for this war, Sweden included. But I would like to tell you how hospitable, open, and kind has been to the Ukrainian refugees. This is invaluable help. Currently, we are closely connected and keeping ties with all the Ukrainian refugees in Sweden. And now we are at the Riksdag, the Swedish parliament, where a number of Ukrainian refugees visited this place and they received information on the workings of the democratic system in Sweden, of the democratic decision-making process. This was the first lesson in democracy governance. I believe that when these mothers and children come back to Ukraine, they will see the results of the seeds that have been sown here. They've seen firsthand how easy it is to come to the parliament, to get to the parliamentarians and talk to them as a human being, with a human being. As far as we are concerned, we are ready to receive Ukrainian refugees. I am grateful to Vice Prime Minister and Minister for the reintegration of the temporarily occupied territories, Ms. Vereshchuk, for her efforts in setting up green corridors. We are ready to work in the framework of this program. We will be ready to receive here Ukrainian refugees, people, children or people with disabilities. Yulia Gershun has paid a visit to Stockholm today. She has been very helpful in evacuating a group of mothers with many children in their families. It was an unexpected meeting, but it was very warm one. And we could see how people were happy to see her, to embrace her, give her a hug. And over the time they have been living here in Sweden, they have become a large family. I would like to share with you the picture of our mothers, people who have come here to Sweden. They're here with us at the Riksdag. And we have also with us Peter Loba, the member of the Swedish Parliament.
Пані Ірина, я бачу, що рядом з вами є багатодітна мама.
I see next to you Tamara Strom, joined by Mark. It's a newborn baby. I think he was 12 days old when they crossed the Polish border. I think Yulia will inform us about this eventful trip. But I would like to give the floor to Tamara, who will tell us how she arrived in Sweden and the way she feels here and how she is getting registered and integrated into this Swedish society. Welcome from Stockholm. I am happy to greet you and see you all. Let me draw your attention. And I'm talking to the government officials here. People are safe here. We are on top of the situation since the very beginning when people were gathering in Ukraine until their arrival at the final point of their departure. I would like you to meet Mark. He was 10 days old when he began his evacuation. He arrived in the city of Lviv, then he went to the Polish border, over to Gdansk, and then onto the ferry. This is a real hero. Now that he is less than 1 month old, he has visited the Swedish parliament, which is indicative of the great future of the Ukrainian children. Let me also draw your attention to the following. A person who is engaged in getting groups together, I would like to draw the attention of the lawmakers. When you set up the documents, think about the possibility of adoption children here. Can I ask you a question? Was that need might be? What are specific challenges? We are having groups of children here. They are waiting now. Their parents were in the line hoping to get across the border, and they turned us with their program. They were not successful. Why? Because a father, he is in the front line now. He didn't write a permit for the kids to cross the border. Then they need some documents stamped by the local authorities, and these documents are very thoroughly investigated by the Polish border guards and so on. If the village has been bombed and destroyed, it's a question whether people would get their documents stamped. Thank you for drawing my attention to this. What I knew was that everybody is allowed to get across the border even without a permit of both parents. Unfortunately, this is not the case. You need stamps and you need authorizing documents. Then I would like to give the floor to Tamara. Glory to Ukraine. This is the Ukrainian patriot arriving in Sweden. The trip was amazing, and I would like to thank for the organizing, thank everybody who was engaged in this project. Again, thank you and thank you. Everything is beautiful. People, don't be afraid. It'll be more disastrous for you to stay behind and to live through what is in you are in for. We are taken care of. Everything is just fine. I don't know what to share with you. Everybody is helping us, volunteers, governments, everybody, and we are grateful. Thank you, Tamara. You know, the route that we are talking about today begins in the regions where hostilities are taking place. In the city of Lviv, these groups are shaped, and this is done by the Lviv city or administration. We'll call it a hub. Then people are bused to the city of Gdansk in Poland, and then onto the ferries and to Stockholm. Our volunteer, Yulia Moroz, who is Gdansk based, and she meets these groups and then accompany them on their way. Yulia, would you tell us how the work is organized and what is important here, your impression of how Poland helps the evacuation of our refugees? Welcome. The first thing I would like to say is that how happy I am to see the first group of people arriving in Sweden. I did care for them, and I'm so glad that everybody is fine. As for the Gdansk, the situation comes down to this. Everybody in Gdansk is helping all the organizations we can think of. I would like to thank the student community of the local university, and in particular, specific persons helping us to organize busing, to organize the food for this group heading to Sweden. My thanks also go to the Transportation Authority of the city of Gdansk. All my Polish friends in Gdansk, they're helping, they helped, and they're ready to help with everything they can for the Ukrainian refugees on their way to the ferries, taking them to Sweden. I was talking to the ferry company. They are now offering free of charge transportation to the Ukrainian refugees. The project has been prolonged until the 28th of April. the process of registration. We have talked to them. They are ready to respond in the fastest way for the Ukrainian refugees to get everything done and dusted in terms of registration. In all the points organized here by the well-known unions, Solidarność trade union. Apart from them, there are other points helping Ukrainian refugees, giving them accommodation, comfort, living conditions, foods on the way of the Ukrainian mothers and their children to Sweden. We all are helping. We receive the aid from the municipal authorities together with the municipal transportation authorities. They are ready to help. And I am grateful to all Polish and to everybody living in Poland. The organizations like the student organization that they set up, people are sending medical equipment, medicines, going to Ukraine, something that our military need. A lot of batches of medicine go to Ukraine. They are so responsive and they are fast in their response. I would like to take this opportunity to thank for their incredible help coming from all and from everybody. And to our Ukrainian mummies from Donetsk and Luhansk regions, I tell you this, don't be afraid. Children are our future. We must help our military in the battlefield for them not to look back whether they are mothers or children behind them. I was born in the Luhansk Oblast. My family and my son have been evacuated. Believe me, I know how difficult it is to make such a decision, but believe me, this is a right one. Thank you for this message of the mother. And I would like to give the floor to the deputy mayor of the Lviv military administration. You know, there was a first wave of evacuation when many people arrived in your region, in the western part of Ukraine. And of course, there is an assignment from the Vice Prime Minister. You have been tasked to set up a hub for the people who will be then headed to Sweden and other countries. Would you describe to us a general situation, what's going on in your oblast, and how would you give hope to those who are still hesitant about whether to evacuate their families to Lviv region and so on? Thank you. Now that we are into the 56th day of the war, you know how responsive the city dwellers of Lviv have been. We are receiving people from the eastern part of Ukraine. We have set up a hub in the Arena Lviv stadium. We are still developing it, working on it to make it as comfortable as possible for people staying there for a short period of time, for them to head to the western frontier or whether to stay in the Lviv region. Equally busy we are with buses. When we talk about mothers and children, and especially children of younger age, we want them to safely arrive at the checkpoints. We have 6 cross border points between Ukraine and Poland. There are a number of international NGOs that we have been communicating with, and that we are identifying those organizations that are ready to help Ukrainians who are crossing the Polish border. They come from Poland, from Italy, from Germany. So basically, this work has been quite efficiently set up. Today, we are expecting two railway trains coming with people from Donetsk region. When people arrive at the railway station, they are shuttled to the Iryna Lviv stadium. They are fed there, accommodated for them to wait for their relatives if their connections have been severed on their way to Lviv. And then they will make a decision whether they're staying in our region or will cross the border and follow the invitation of any Western organization.
Дякую вам, пані Ірино,
Thank you
за що ви робите.
for your work.
І я не бачу, на жаль, чи є хтось приєднався.
Unfortunately, I'm not aware whether we have people representing the Donetsk regional military administration.
Да, за якоюсь причиною Донецьке
For some reason,
не може приєднатися, але я
the regional military administration from Donetsk
зараз
cannot join us. But next to me
директор міжнародного
is sitting Ivan Stepurin, who is the director of the international charity Your Kindness. They have taken upon themselves the issue of organizing the evacuation of the Ukrainian refugees to Sweden, and he will tell us how they're working. The Your Kindness Charity Foundation is coordinating all the links and steps in this complex drive to get people evacuated from the hostility zone. I would like to appeal to the citizens of the eastern territories. As Victoria Grip has already mentioned, the only thing we need from you is your agreement. Get in contact with us. All the rest will be performed by us. We will make sure that you find yourselves in the safety and leave the hostilities zone. I would like to share with you the telephone numbers of Konstantin and his team, apart from the fact that all the contacts will be published on the website of our charity foundation in all the different social network. 09541168817. This is the telephone number. This is the hotline where we receive your appeals concerning evacuation. And take care of yourselves. Stay safe. Can I talk to you? My name is Ms. Zukina, and I am representing the Donetsk Regional Military Administration. And Timofeyeva is the head of the Children's Department in our administration, plus our staff, people that are now evacuating people to Zhytomyr and Rivne regions and to Poland and Germany. And NGOs are also present here, those who help to evacuate people from here. We have been listening to what you had to say. We have begun this work among the families with many children, and we are now starting to shape those groups. We have jotted down the telephone numbers. We will contact you, and we will gladly engage in this project of evacuation to Sweden. Timofeyeva, Ms. Timofeyeva, I'm working in the children's service. I would like to share with you what we're doing for evacuating children, especially orphans and children without parental care in our Donetsk region. We also, of course, have in our intention children from the children's homes. We have taken them to the safe places in our region. We have set up 6 centers for rehabilitation, and from there children go to other regions in Ukraine. From one center, children will go to Switzerland. We also had 3 children's houses set up by the charities, and all the children that were staying there are now in Germany. We are also paying a lot of attention to evacuate orphans and those children that are without parental care. We have evacuated children both within Ukraine and outside of Ukraine, orphans and children who were raised in the orphanages or in the adopted families. This work is going on. This work is unstoppable. We are daily monitoring the conditions where our children are living. We are also investigating the opportunity for these children to go to Sweden. Once we have requests from these families, we will forward those requests to you. I mean, those families that will agree for evacuation. I would also like to add that at the Ministry of Youth and Sports of Ukraine, there is a group that consists of all the heads of the regional heads of youth questions. You see, a lot of our families have gone to the different regions of Ukraine. Some of those families have not found a good place of accommodation. So we would like you to share this information of this possibility for families to go to Sweden. We will share this information with them locally as well.
Дякую вам. Всі питання є.
Thank you.
Донецька обласної адміністрації.
Do you have more questions,
Ну,
our colleagues from
я
Donetsk
так розумію,
administration? As far as I can understand,
обласної державної адміністрації нам повідомила про що ми
we have received information from the Donetsk regional administration, and she will inform her management,
ще хотів би
as
додати
will we.
Вікторії Гриб.
I would like to give the floor to Victoria Grip. We have a question here,
Я його зачитаю. Як відомо,
and I will read it out.
неодноразово
The Russian invaders
під час евакуації
were shelling humanitarian
на вашу думку, чи
aid transportation where people were wounded or killed. Do you think that
у вас дані про те, скільки людей
people on the humanitarian corridors will be targeted by the Russian aggressors while they're being evacuated?
ми
Well, currently we are discussing an issue
виїхати, коли ще не
that
зроблений
tells us that there is a possibility to leave that place as fast as you can until the hostilities begin in the earnest. Unfortunately, no one possesses any specific data. We have witnessed the Kramatorsk tragedy. We know that more than 50 people were killed, up to 100 were wounded, with 98 people admitted to hospitals. But we also are witnesses to the situation where people were killed in their own cars when they are fleeing the city. And Konstantin said it right, he hit the nail right on the head. Do it if you can. Do it while you can. The situation will get worse. The enemy is now trying to amass a lot of military force in the Donbass to occupy it. We are turning to the people in the Donetsk region and in other oblasts as well, people who were forced to flee. The Zaporizhia Oblast, Kharkiv region, we all understand the specifics of the situation over there. And it also applies to other regions. Everybody should be thanked for today's event. If you have questions that are pertaining to today's press conference, perhaps you might have questions to people who have joined us online, including Ms. Lemrini. I have a tiny specification here. This program, the Swedish program, is this particularly targeted for the Lugansk and Donetsk regions, or people from other regions may apply, whether occupied? I think it applies to all the regions. I would like to ask Ms. Tamara, who has come to Sweden with her kid. People can come here from different regions. Of course, the hostility zone is the places that we prioritize to get people away from there. But if people are willing to get evacuated from Dnipro or from the city of Kiev, they are gladly welcomed here. As for Tamara, where do you come from? We came from the Kryvyi Rih city. The the road was difficult, but it turned out to be fine at the end of the day. Now that we are together here, we have evacuated people from Kiev, from Mariupol, from Kryvyi Rih, from Dnipro. That is a fully international family. Do you have restrictions in the program? How many people can you cope with? I wouldn't be willing to set up limits when it comes down to evacuation. We've done a lot of work with a number of local Swedish authorities, and they are ready to receive Ukrainians here. For example, if we look at Sweden as a country that will host people here, those who have passed through the green corridors. You know, we are having people here in Stockholm, Malmo, and Göteborg, but Sweden is a beautiful country. In a region, in the nearby regions, in the neighboring parts of Sweden, people will receive you with open arms. They will provide their houses for your accommodation. We have 4 regions here in Sweden. They developed a targeted program for finding jobs for the Ukrainian refugees and providing the medical insurance for them. So if you ask me about the limitations, I will tell you we will receive as many people as we can. More questions, please. Would you identify yourselves? I am the head of the NGO organization that provides mental health. I am the PhD and the assistant professor, but this is not what matters. What matters here is this. What I have seen is for people to know about this program. Our task is to get across this message to every potential refugee that such a program exists. It can be done by different services, by the municipalities, by the local authorities in the settlements and villages. Secondly, when we talk to people, the message is, I want my children to live. Who can provide safety to our children? Ukraine is doing everything it can, but the task will be easier for the state once we know that our children are safe and sound abroad. You know, children will not be evacuated to be abused. The state provides for their safe place. When I have heard what you said, this is my analysis and my take on what I have heard. I wish you success, and I think the psychologists will help you in these circumstances. We will cooperate with you. Any more questions? I thank everybody who took part in today's press conference. Peace to you all. Be healthy and safe. We will survive. Thank you.